No.
Yeah, episode 60. We've made it to 60, Jen.
That's a lot.
All right.
That's a lot.
So, this is the last call for the dead at Arnold's Bar, episode 60, season 3. Weird stuff keeps happening in an old bar on East 8th Street, and it has for over 160 years. Arnold's Bar has been open since 1861, making it the oldest running bar in Cincinnati. It opened during the first year of the Civil War and operated through Prohibition, so has a story or two to tell. Tonight we cover the history of Arnold's Bar and the ghosts that reside within it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode of the Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities presents the Hometown Haunts podcast. I am your host, Kat Cloco. Along with me are Christina Wald and Jen Kohler. They are currently in the shadows right now, but they'll be joining us a little bit later. Of course, social media. You can follow us at Cin Cabinet Curio on Twitter, at Cincy Cabinet of Curiosities on Instagram, and we are dying to hear your hometown haunted mail, and you can send that to hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com. And of course, don't forget to join our Hometown Haunts Facebook group so you can chat about all things ghostly and wisdom teeth on our Facebook page with other listeners just like you. We're an official podcast that can be heard wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to see us while we're doing the show, like Christina adjusting her camera just now, you can watch our video feed on YouTube. Find us by searching Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities, and please rate and review us there so other fringe history lovers just like you can find us. Link in the show notes. Also, we have a few things of show news. Thank you to everyone who has submitted stories to this year's Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities anthology. By the time you're hearing this, the deadline would have passed. So thank you all who have submitted. We look forward to announcing the artists in late March of this year. Also, you can hear me, Kat, speak at the UC Communiversity on March 15th, 2022. So that's only a few weeks away now, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. The cost is $39, but includes copies of both anthologies 1 and 2 and an opportunity after the talk for me to sign them. The class includes ghost stories, the techniques of how I find and research the new and old stories, and our process for sharing them in our creative talents within the anthology. Excuse me. So you can find more information. I know Christina's going to put the link in the show notes, but it will be fun. I don't know how many people have actually signed up yet. But also, please wear a mask during the class since I have a yet to be vaccinated toddler at home, and I don't want him getting sick. Also, we want to take a minute to send our support to the people of Ukraine and those who live in Kharkiv, our sister city, Cincinnati's sister city, and the second largest city in Ukraine. And they were getting bombarded earlier today. So, ladies, I know, Christina, you have a lot of ties with Ukraine and people from the area.
Yes, yes. And this is a reminder that the United States takes very few refugees in. So if you could write actually, I was speaking to a friend that is from the Ukraine. She's an artist that lives in Texas, and she suggests writing to your representative and senator to change temporarily the law to allow more refugees in. The U.S. is very hard to get into, even if you are a refugee. And in the EU, there, for example, Romania, Poland, Ireland, interestingly, and Moldova, I think, are accepting refugees with no paperwork. Like, you can come in and come cross their border. And I think the rest of EU is now allowing free passage for refugees. But the U.S., you have to, I think the U.S. really, they offered a paltry 50 or 40 million today to help with humanitarian causes, which 40 million is almost nothing.
It doesn't feel like a lot in a world
Yeah,
stage.
it's sort of like saying, hey, kid, don't spend this all in one place.
Oh. Well, I
But
do know that Poland and Romania, if you have pets, they've waived the vaccination records,
Oh,
so you can
nice.
just
That's
go
good.
straight on through Poland and Romania,
Mhm.
because the EU does have some strict rabies vaccinations, and
Mhm.
people I know, like, if I had to evacuate my town right now with all of our dogs, just, like especially when Wheatley was alive, he hadn't been vaccinated for years because of his cancer, but we would have wanted to take him with us. So it would have been
Mhm.
impossible for him to travel, but now Poland and Romania have waived that, so
That's
people
really
will
wonderful. I
probably
didn't
get
know
from
that.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was I tend to watch how humanitarian disasters treat people with pets,
Mhm.
and that was a big announcement from, I think, Friday. So
That's really cool because, yeah, a lot of times you have to leave your beloved pets behind
mhm.
and the animals, I mean, if your dog's afraid of fireworks, I can't imagine how these animals are when their town's being bombed. I mean, they must be terrified.
Have you ever heard what the I don't wanna call it anti-aircraft, but they use it in Israel a lot against the Palestinians, unfortunately, this is how I know it. But it's the anti-missile defense, how it sounds when it goes off, it is just oh my goodness, it sounds like something out of a movie, like a gigantic monster emerging and just screaming, that's what it sounds like.
Wow.
And I can't imagine pets or young kids dealing with that sound
Oh, yeah.
well.
I mean, it must be terrifying, and there's all this heartbreaking footage of people carrying their cats and dogs to the border, because they don't want to leave them behind.
Mhm,
And, as you know, whenever you travel, sometimes it's very hard to get your animals in. So it's great that
mhm,
they're waiving that. There was some great footage in Romania and Poland of people taking their private cars and picking up refugees, and at the borders they have food and stuff like that. And that's great to see. I mean, where it becomes really challenging is as you get more and more people, then it starts and as the news story cycle gets longer, that's when
mhm,
it becomes a huge crisis because, countries start to not want to take refugees anymore. And I
mhm,
mean, I don't know how many people live in Ukraine, but it could be millions of people fleeing.
mhm,
And so hopefully it will not come to that. Um, I mean, it's a real nightmare over there
mhm.
right now, I'm sure. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I hope that they have a chance to defend themselves. It looks like the EU is really stepping up.
Mhm,
Their president has been really good. My husband was actually commenting about how, social media, how you're seeing all this social media and war reported on this. And as we mentioned before we got on, the president of Ukraine was a comedian. He was kind of like the Jon Stewart of the Ukraine, and somebody that a lot of times these satirists, kind of like Al Franken or somebody like that, they get into politics because after making parodies, they really want to have a better world. And he's very pro-Western, and that's why he's in peril. But he's been very good about, saying that I think he's been very motivational to the people. And I think he's kind of roused Europe because I think Europe was a little bit apathetic in the US as well. And he's been so good at bringing people to Ukraine's cause.
mhm.
Hopefully, there will be some sort of equitable solution. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a pretty scary time. Thinking about like when I grew up, there was always the worry about annihilation.
Mhm,
Not as bad as in the 50s, but it was pretty bad.
mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and you hadn't really thought about that since, the wall came down in Berlin and, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, but
It's scary. One
Mhm,
of the news reporters was mentioning how really Ukraine is just like the United States.
mhm,
On any other given day, just even last week, they would have been like Kharkiv would just be exactly like Cincinnati, where you
mhm,
had mass transport systems and people traveling in cars, preschools and kindergartens and all that. And
mhm,
now it's just people are trying to flee west as fast as they can. I know Kharkiv has 1.2 million residents, is what I read. And I know Cincinnati, I know you just said write to your senators and representatives, which I wholeheartedly agree. We do need to take more refugees. Cincinnati's agreed to take quite a few from Ukraine, but we have a standing sister city relationship with them. So there's Cincinnati, I think, was one of the first cities to go, yes, you move here. And but definitely implore your representatives and senators to be getting more refugees here. I know several times refugees have saved my ass here in the United States. So I'm very, very much supporting them of any creed to come move here.
And actually, for them to get to Cincinnati, that's where you have to relax the customs to get in and the paperwork and that sort of thing. I mean, that's the hardest thing is getting waiving the visas and stuff like that. I'm not totally sure what the entrance requirements are when you're not a refugee, but I think a lot of those countries you require a visa to go to those countries, and so they would have to waive the visa and let them come here, but it's a very serious situation.
It is. And there's a lot of bureaucracy. So waiving all of that just kind of hustles them onto the planes and gets them across overseas faster. And then there's we can go into all of that. But right now, just write your representatives and senators and implore them to allow people to move here.
Exactly.
Make it faster, make it easier.
All right.
I
know. It's a very depressing topic. Like we were talking before, people doom scrolling.
Yes. Oh, yes. On that note, to combat one, you can probably put a music interlude in between, but also watch the movie Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. Complete and utter fluff. It was exactly what we needed to watch on our family movie night this Friday.
Really?
It was complete and utter fluff. It was just, there's some wonderful cameos that I wasn't expecting, and there's great voice cameos in it too, but Taika Waititi stars in it. I am a Taika Waititi fan, so I loved watching it. Also, Ryan Reynolds is fun. Kind of hard to get him out of the Deadpool feel, but it works. So if you want something to watch instead of doom scrolling, go watch Free Guy. Just go watch it. It's fun. It's like what Ready Player 100 was trying to be.
Oh, really? Well, that makes me more interested in it too.
Oh, it's a lot better.
What platform is it on for those that want to see it?
It's on Disney Plus right now.
Okay. I'll have to check it out.
So yeah, I don't usually plug go watch things. To counter that, go watch The Gilded Age that's on HBO Max. It's wonderful. It's and I know, Christina, you love The Gilded Age, so it is just beautiful costumes. It's by the same guy that does Downton Abbey.
I've watched the first couple episodes. I need to catch up on it.
I enjoy it a lot. I will look forward to Mondays when it drops. So
yeah, I mean, I love doing steampunky kind of things.
Yes, and this is that.
All right, so
can I jump in for a second? I've been rewatching Murder, She Wrote from the beginning.
Oh, I love
Angela Lansbury. On Roku.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, the Roku channel. I just
Angela Lansbury is my favorite. Well, you see my Angela Lansbury piece. Well, you can't see it up here, but
yeah. But I have seen it in person.
Yeah, we have seen it. Yes.
Yes. Angela Lansbury is my hero.
Yeah, she's great. And I love seeing old actors.
Yes.
Because you didn't know who they were then. And I'm like, oh, that's that guy that became really famous, or
it's like the lady from Terminator.
Oh yeah,
Linda Hamilton.
Yes,
yeah.
She's in an episode.
She's in an episode with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
No.
That's right.
I'm only on the first episode.
Oh,
so
sorry. Spoiler alert.
No, that's okay. I wanted to watch it because I'm a huge Jonathan Brandis fan. Do you remember him from Sidekicks and Sequest DSV?
No, I don't.
I do know who you're talking about.
Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was kind of like the Ryan Gosling of the early 90s, kind of.
Okay.
And I was in love with him. And I went and I got to meet him. He was my first celebrity I ever met.
Aw.
Got a kiss on the cheek from him.
Oh, wow.
So nice. And I've seen pretty much everything he's been in except for this episode of Murder, She Wrote. So that's why I'm watching it. And unfortunately, he hung himself in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought he had passed away, but I didn't want to
Well, that was a
I
turn
couldn't-
I wasn't
I'm
expecting.
sorry. It
I'm
was
so
Yeah.
sorry.
it was really sad.
He was a cool kid. I liked Sequest a lot. That was a great
I
show.
did too. It was a fun show,
Mhm.
and I was just, oh, if he had just held on, it would have gotten better. He would have had a comeback. We would
Aw.
have loved to see him again. But
Mhm.
anyway,
Aw.
you can't see the future.
Anyway, on to tonight's topic. It is Arnold's Bar and Grill. And before we really dig into here, and I know, Christina, you just set me to the only lone person in the room. There we go.
Oh, sorry. Well, let me know when you want to be the lone
Yeah.
person in the room.
Okay. With the doom scrolling, I don't think it's ever safe. Anyhow, no, we've all been to Arnold's Bar.
Mm-hmm. Many
Yeah,
times.
it's a Cincinnati landmark at this point, like the Skyline Chili on Ludlow. Everyone's gone to Arnold's Bar. When did you first go, Christina?
It was probably in well, I don't know when I first went, but I think most notably would have probably been sometime in the 90s when it was probably late 90s, early 2000s that I used to do life drawing on Court Street, and we would go to Arnold's afterwards. I didn't go very many times to Arnold's, but the group would do life drawing and then go over to Arnold's, and that might have been for some of my first times over there. And then I think when they started the Fringe Festival, I probably went there a couple times. They might have had some fringe shows. They actually have Cincy or OTR Improv, and I think they've gone by some other names, has shows in Arnold's. Most notably, you can see their improv shows at Christmas, where they sort of take topics and do improv off of them. But we've also seen some plays there and stuff on their patio area. So, I've been there quite a bit.
Yeah, I also meant to say Skyline Chili. Oh no, Skyline Chili, not Cincinnati Chili. I don't know why. I always call Skyline Cincinnati Chili. Don't hate me, Gold Star Chili people. So Jen, how about you?
By the way, that's Betsy,
Hi,
Hi,
Betsy.
my old
Betsy.
lady. I can't remember. I've only been there a few times, and it was always for lunch. Like, I was never there at night, I don't think.
Okay.
And I think the last time I was there was sometime in the mid 2000s. My coworkers took me out for my birthday,
Aw,
so we
that's a good
went
place to
there.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a cool place. I like that it's the oldest bar in the city.
Yeah,
Pretty
it
much.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's still standing, and it's still a
It's
bar. Yeah.
it's still standing and it's still a bar. Quite remarkable because it wasn't always a bar.
Yeah.
But I know my first time I went when I first moved here to Cincinnati in 2008, somebody took me and Mike over and we sat in the courtyard and ate lunch, which was really
Mhm.
nice. And I just basically had my head on a swivel, taking in all the atmosphere. And then the last time I was there was 2018 for Bachfest, which is this Friday, which is March 4th. So 2022 is Bachfest. And I know Bachfest parade starts right in front of Arnold's, and they have the Arnold's tub car in the parade. At least it was in 2018. And that's always fun.
Do you remember seeing she's a local artist, Pam Kravitz? She always has these really cool Bachfest costumes that she wears.
I probably have seen her and probably taken photos.
Probably. And one year she was like Suds.
Probably have seen her, yes.
Oh my God, she's amazing. And she's always in the Bachfest.
Yeah.
I hope she is this year.
Well, and then every year the Bachfest poster is done by Jim Effler, who
Mhm.
comes to the weekly illustrators lunch, and he is doing a poster signing. I can't remember when, but he's been doing the posters for a really long time.
Mhm.
Actually, he has a collection. If you love Bachfest, he just put out a collection of all of his posters, along with some sketches and other materials. And I believe you can
fun.
order it on his website. It's a really great book. I ordered one for myself and then one for Christmas for my brother-in-law, who really loves beer in Cincinnati and stuff. And,
Mm.
and I love Bachfest, like the whole goat motif, and
Yes.
it's pretty cool.
I know. Krampusruf, Cincinnati. Say that 10 times fast. Does walk in the parade. And I bring up the parade because I know if you have watched a Cincinnati parade, you have seen the Taft bathtub car. And I remember seeing it in the Blink Light Parade a few years ago. Of course, Bachfest, I believe they've driven it during opening day, and it is always driven by somebody dressed up in some fun, crazy outfit. But you've seen the Taft's tub car, and it's also the Taft's tub, or Taft's, no, Arnold's. I don't know why I said Taft's. Man, I'm just everywhere with the names today. Skyline Chili is now Cincinnati. Arnold's is now Taft's. Psh. Anyway, the Arnold's tub car you've seen driving around, and probably wondering why a tub. We're going to answer that question today. So, shall we dig into the history?
Yes, I think so. I'm excited to hear it because I don't know that much of the history of it, even though I've been there so many times.
Yeah, it's amazing, and they have a really decent, quick write-up on their website if you're ever interested, which is, speaking of sources, one of the sources and the first one for tonight. It's the Arnold's Bar and Grill website. Also, WCPO, WLWT, the Cincinnati Enquirer, Fox 19, Local 12, Cincinnati Refined Magazine, and Wikipedia. I was surprised to find Arnold's in Wikipedia. I wasn't expecting to see it, but there it is. So, originally, the building that Arnold sits in was built in 1838. Allegedly, the first tenant was Susan Fawcett, who operated it as a brothel. So, not always a bar. The bar room where you first enter Arnold's at 210 East 8th Street was once a barber shop, and the first floor of 208 East 8th Street was a hay and feed store. The courtyard that myself and all of us have sat in at some point used to be a stable. So you're just sitting where horses used to just chill at the hay and feed store at one point in Cincinnati history. There's probably thousands of people who have sat there on that patio by now. Simon Arnold opened the bar in 1861 in the first floor room at 210 East 8th Street, and in doing so became a legend here in Cincinnati in the bar scene because his bar has remained open continuously and has only had 5 owners. He ran it until 1900 or thereabouts when his son Hugo took over. Hugo, his wife, and all 6 of their children lived in the apartments above the bar, from what I can tell in history, on the second and third floors. In the 1910s, Hugo took over the building at 208 East 8th Street, which allowed a second entrance and a room in the bar for women, because they weren't always allowed in the front door. In the 1920s, Elmore Arnold took over the family business. So he got to deal with Prohibition, which changed Arnold's into the restaurant and grill that we see today. Arnold's added a kitchen and converted the second floor apartments into a dining area, becoming a cafe and managing to stay open during Prohibition. However, a bathtub was left on the second floor, and legend has it that Elmer was likely making bathtub gin in it, and rumor has it that the bar was also a speakeasy. So it has some light mob ties to it. To this day, the bathtub is still there and has become an icon of Arnold's Bar, as we were just talking about in the parades. For 98 years, 3 generations of the Arnold family owned and operated the bar. In 1959, it was sold to 2 brothers who lived in the building, Jim Christakis and his brother George. Jim was a former pro wrestler and mob collector, aka a debt collector for the mob. It was during this time that the Greek spaghetti appeared on the menu thanks to Jim's wife, Athena Jones Christakis. In 1976, Cincinnati Councilman Jim Tarbell purchased the bar, moved in upstairs, and expanded the bar into the courtyard along with other renovations, such as the 26-foot old mahogany bar in the restaurant, which was salvaged from an old bar in Covington, Kentucky, sometime in the 1970s. Meanwhile, the stage in the courtyard, which you watch a lot of your concerts performances, and improv, was made from floorboards from the old Schubert Theater. And those were put in the 1970s. In 1998, Rhonda Androsky, I'm so sorry, Rhonda, purchased the bar, and after working as a longtime server there, in 2019, her son Charles Breeden and his wife Bethany took over operations. And they are very open about the paranormal experiences in the bar. The bar has been visited numerous times by Hollywood and TV, appearing in episodes of Hot Ones, which I was really impressed with, Man vs. Food, and the NBC show Harry's Law, which was a law drama set in Cincinnati. I had no idea this show existed. But they loved Arnold's so much that they built a replica of it as a bar that all of the lawyers hang out and the cast hang out in. And they even borrowed staff uniforms, table tents, and artwork from Arnold's bar for the set pieces. Those were all returned after the show was canceled last year, and now you can see them on display on the second floor of Arnold's. The 2015 film Carol, the 2016 film Marauders, and the 2020 film 10 Minutes Gone all have scenes set in Arnold's Bar and Grill somewhere. I think Marauders are actually in the courtyard. On Wednesday, December 29th, 2021, Arnold's Bar and Grill celebrated 160 years of continuous business. So yay them. That is awesome. And of course, in their 2021 Best of the City issue, Cincinnati Magazine states, "The legends of the Bathtub Gin, paranormal activity, and the mob connections are just a small part of why the city's oldest and perhaps most beloved bar still draws a mighty crowd." The Cincinnati Enquirer also writes, from their food critic Keith Pandolfi, describes Arnold's Bar as part of the soul of Cincinnati, and I wholeheartedly agree. As soon as you move into the city, somebody takes you to Arnold's and then to Skyline. So, now for the weird stuff, which is why I think a lot of us are here. So, ghosts have been a part of Arnold's Bar for decades, and Rhonda even said for an interview a few years ago, maybe it's the Arnold's family looking over us. Maybe it's more, she said. They say spirits come and go, so maybe Steve, who is a ghost there, is just over our latest spirit and he's watching over us. So, commonly, there are unexplained bumps, thuds, and knocks that come from the second floor women's restroom. This is by far the place that sees the most activity reported. And I know people are going to go, haha, because it's the ladies' restroom. There's going to be some joke about that. It is very weird how many times women's restrooms are actually the haunted locations or haunted hotspots in a restaurant. I don't know why. You can also look at Ryan's Tavern up in Hamilton, Ohio. Same thing. Also, the third floor, where their offices are now located, has a lot of activity bumping around. And it has scared many a patron who has gone running out of the building after experiencing something unexplainable, usually from the second floor. They often ask Chris or Breeden, who's the owner, or the bartender tending the bar, if the location is haunted because they have seen or experienced something. Speaking to WCPO, Chris claims that he was closing the bar at about 2:30 a.m. a few years ago when he heard something slam repeatedly against the women's restroom door on the second floor. He said, "I put my hand on the door and it stopped. And then I opened it up and there was no one in there. I don't believe in ghosts. I still don't believe in ghosts, but it was unexplainable." Also, female staff have reported being touched on the shoulder while washing their hands in that same restroom. It shocks them. They turn around and no one's there. So, or at least physically, no one's there. Another unexplained phenomenon is witnessing shadowy figures rushing by or in front of you, usually on the second floor, where the most phenomena is reported, especially in the bathtub room, in addition to the bathroom, which only at Arnold's would the bathtub room and the bathroom be two separate rooms. So other activity reported in the second floor bathtub room has been the sink's faucet turning on by itself. So this was reported by Local 12 back in 2014, reported by Joe Bias, who was then an employee at Arnold's at the time of the interview. He states, "I was startled, you know. My first thought was, I hope someone else is seeing this. I'm looking at Rebecca, who I'm going to editorialize here, and I think she was just another server who was working with him. And we're both looking at each other like, you seeing this? And she's like, I'm seeing this. So basically, the faucet that's next to the tub just turned on in the middle of dinner service one night. That's kind of bananas. As mentioned earlier, there is the ghost of a former chef named Steve Black who has been seen quite recently in the past decade outside of the building. He became ill and passed away in 2012, and since then has frequently been seen by staff and patrons standing in front of the bar and smoking while watching patrons dining inside. A lot of patrons will stop the bartenders and go, "Who's that guy?" And they'll say, "Oh, that's Steve." When asking about him, they describe Steve to a T, including the pristine white chef's uniform and sweater that he would often wear. And he was really famous for not getting any food on himself and being very fastidious as a chef, which is a good quality in a chef. And he was really well loved with the Arnold's bar crowd. So it was a real tragedy when he passed away, but he seems to still be coming in once in a while to check in on his favorite bar. Bar patrons and bartenders have witnessed bottles of alcohol hover off the shelves before dropping to the ground. The same with some of the glasses that are stored there. According to an interview with Local 12 in 2014, longtime bar patron Joe Pierce witnessed a stemmed wine glass fall from its resting place on one of the hanging racks behind the bar. He goes to describe, and as the glass excuse me, and a glass at the back of the rack just started slowly coming out and just flew to the middle of the bar part. And in the interview, he's pointing at the actual bar top and dropped right in front of him. Pierce had witnessed this phenomena occur twice at that particular bar, at the bar top. One of the bartenders leaves out a shot of Jameson Irish whiskey on the bar at night if she feels things are getting a little weird, according to a 2015 WCPO interview. The basement, which is not talked about often, is also a haunted hotspot in the building. The staff have reported a lot of paranormal activity, but they've been very vague about the details, especially in interviews. It's not uncommon for the basements to have seen a lot of activity, especially for an establishment that was rumored to be a speakeasy, and also maybe some I just forgot the phrase. The illegal gin that was being made. Bootlegging. That's it. Bootlegging. Just like Ryan's Tavern up in Hamilton, the bootleggers would go through the bar basement to get in and out unseen by police. So especially if the police weren't on the take, so by the local mob. Anyway, moving on. In October of 2021, they hosted ghost hunts at the bar with two different local paranormal groups, Cornerstone Paranormal and POV Paranormal. I've actually ghost hunted with Cornerstone Paranormal before, and they were the ones that we saw a full-bodied shadow person walk across a well-lit middle of the day post-town elementary school. So I was there with David and his dog, and we just watched this apparition walk across the hall. Anyway, so they're a pretty good paranormal group. That's what the point of me saying this was. When it comes to the bar's supposed paranormal offerings, Rhonda said that she isn't scared or worried. She sees it as a good omen. For this place to survive as long as it has, I just feel like it is protected, she said in an interview with WCPO in 2015. There are a lot of reasons over the years the business should have failed, and it didn't. The whole place is really special. So the next time you're in downtown Cincinnati, may I suggest dining at Arnold's Bar and Grill? You may see more than one type of spirit there. So, Jen, Christina, come back.
I had no idea Jim Tarbell used to own Arnold's.
Surprise! He used to live above it too.
I thought he still did, but obviously not.
I'm always there's a giant mural of him that's always freaks me out whenever I'm downtown.
Oh, I
It's
love it. Have you ever
five.
met him?
I've
Mm-mm.
seen him. I've never met him. His wife apparently is an artist, right? Like they
Oh, I don't
do.
know.
I
She
thought
does
so. I
art festivals
recognized
and
the
stuff.
last name. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know him, but I've heard of her.
He's just
So-
a cool. I don't know if he's still on Cincinnati Council, but he used to be. But he's always been a huge proponent of Over the Rhine, and he's pretty much at anything that's new and opening. He's been to my family's restaurant, and that's how I met him. Oh wait, or maybe I met him at work. I don't know. Can't remember. Really nice guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been sort of, a proponent of growth in Cincinnati, and
Oh, yeah.
especially arts. I mean, I think a lot
Mhm.
of times you do see him at arts events because of his wife having tables at like Art on Vine and stuff. I think I'm
Mhm.
not sure all of the details, but yeah, he's definitely ubiquitous in
Yeah.
Mhm.
I heard him
Cincinnati
described
culture.
as being Mr. Cincinnati.
Yes. Yeah.
That
He
seems
also
fair.
does he walk in the Bachfest parade? I think he does.
He probably does.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard not to miss him since there's a giant mural of him. What is it on Vine Street? Is it Vine and Central, I believe?
Yeah.
And you always see that giant painting of him.
Is he the one in the top hat?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh,
No,
I
where-
didn't know that.
He's known for that top hat.
Yeah. Apparently that's what he wore when he sold it to Rhonda on the last day when he owned it. He wore that suit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It doesn't
yeah.
surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm?
No, I was just gonna say Arnold has such a cool history. I didn't know
It does.
most of that.
Yeah. It's like looking at it, just the building, and when I was in it, I'm like, I know this has been here for a really long time. And there's a lot of spirits floating around in there in both 208 and 210.
Oh, wow.
But I definitely have to go back now whenever we have a free chance to go.
Weren't they gonna do ghost hunts?
They did.
Yes,
they did
they
it in
did.
October of last
she
year.
just
Okay.
Yeah, the
but
Cornerstone.
COVID.
Yeah,
Right.
COVID.
Okay.
They limited it only to 20 people, and those
That's
tickets
right.
sold out immediately. And they also just had their chef is on one of the cooking. I'm sorry, I'm really naive to the cooking world, but she has a really, really good sandwich, and she was on some cooking competition and is, I think, a finalist or won. So
Oh, really?
Oh,
yay
cool.
them. It's not just the Greek spaghetti now. They also have the hamburger that she made, which is really, really good. But yeah, it's I like it. I love Arnold's. It's not too frequent anymore, even in large cities where you have these bars that feel like Cheers,
Yeah.
where they're just like the city's neighborhood bar.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I got chosen to be on Harry's Law for
That was a
one.
good show. I saw a couple episodes.
Yeah, I was a
Cool.
little disappointed when they canceled it.
I know.
Yeah.
I love that actress that started it.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy
Yeah.
Bates. She was so good.
Just think of her from Deliverance. Or the Wicked Witch from the 10th Kingdom, if you remember that old NBC miniseries.
I think
No.
the most thing I remember her for is Misery, which I believe
yeah.
she
Oh,
was
that's what it was.
nominated for a
Mhm.
Academy. Did she win? She was nominated for. I don't know if she
You know, I
won
don't
an Academy
know.
Award for
I
that.
meant Misery
Oh, okay.
earlier.
Dirty Bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Dirty Bird.
Yeah.
I
I
love
mean,
Kathy
she's-
Bates. I love anytime she's in something, I love her.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, she's a great actress, and
Yeah.
it's unfortunate the show wasn't on for longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is we just recently, there's a group offshoot from our regular urban sketchers that's called Bourbon Sketchers. And we sketch once a month at a different brewery or distillery, and we were just at Arnold's a couple months ago.
No fun.
And
Yeah,
people
you
were
were,
telling me
yeah.
about all the hauntings and stuff there, but sadly while we were there we didn't see anything.
Yeah.
No.
Probably because
Now-
there's so many people there. They were like gonna have a play that night and all that
Are
stuff.
we allowed? Is the public allowed on the second floor?
I thought so.
Okay, just not the third floor because that's where their
Yeah,
office
that's where
is.
their offices are now.
Okay,
But
I just
didn't
want
know
I
if we
want to
got
know
the
what
first
happened
floor.
on the second floor back in the day.
well, I think that's where their speakeasy was, because that's where the
Okay.
bathtub was. This is me editorializing. I don't know. If
Mhm.
somebody from Arnold's wants to come and talk to us, we are open arms. I love talking to anyone.
Mhm.
So, yeah, please come and correct us on any of the history that I may have goofed up. But so yeah, the bathtub's there, and I love how in my head and then seeing the image in reality, I was like, those are two very different ideas.
Yeah.
Like, I thought the bathtub would just be kind of hidden in the corner on the second floor, but nope, there is
Nope.
a table with two chairs and a tablecloth right next to it, so you can just eat and stare at a bathtub.
Bathtub.
But
Now,
that's the bathtub.
do we want to talk about the reason why it's called Taft's bathtub?
Oh, yes.
I actually don't know it. Do you know it, Jen?
I do, but yeah,
I'm
tell
gonna
it.
bastardize it. Excuse my language, but basically, Taft somehow he was so big
Hmm.
man, got stuck in a bathtub.
Okay.
I know there's more to it. Christina, you want to fill in?
Oh, it's really kind of simple. I mean, if you've gone to Taft's Ale House, they have a little logo,
Mhm.
and you could probably figure out from that Taft was so rotund that he got stuck in the bathtub once.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I guess they had to. I don't know how they
Somehow
got him out.
pried him out, but
Yeah.
it is not the bathtub that is at
There's
Arnold's.
actually
No.
you could get it for side. There's actually a children's book about Taft getting stuck in the bathtub,
I don't know if I want to
and it's
get him
adorable.
that.
It's adorable. The art's very cute.
But I can see why I accidentally said Taft earlier.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I got them
That's a common
confused.
Cincinnati image. He
Yeah.
was a rather ample man,
Yes.
and he got stuck in the bathtub. You know.
Well, back then they weren't very big either. They were very narrow.
Mhm.
Well, the world's still not made for big people, but
That would be
definitely not
awkward.
then.
That would be
Yeah.
awkward getting. I wonder how they got him out.
Mm.
Maybe I need to read the children's book.
Butter?
I remember when
Mm.
well, I was thinking butter might be a good
Yeah.
thing, like some sort of release agent.
Couple men had to pull real hard.
Mineral oil. Oh, like,
But it's such a wonderful, colorful story of Cincinnati history.
I'm sorry. Just thinking of his bare, rotund ass being stuck in a bathtub. And
Maybe
then,
he
like-
just kind of suctioned himself to it with the water or something. I
I
don't know.
don't know, but I'm just thinking of his associates like dumping mineral oil or something in there, or sure, buttering him up just to see if they could get him to move.
It sounds like
Oh.
something
if
that
he
would happen
gets-
to Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, and if
That
he's too
does.
slippery, you can't get him out either.
I have an entirely different problem where he's just
Yeah.
slick and slipping on everyone.
It's grossing me out a little, actually.
May he rest in peace.
Yes,
Oh,
now
I'm
we're going to
So
be
sorry,
opposite
Taft.
him. Well, it has me wondering, about other areas downtown like Rheingeist, and there's a lot of different buildings downtown that are now bars and taverns. Northern Row, where
Yeah.
one of our friends works. Like, I wonder if they also have hauntings. That's something to investigate, because a lot of those buildings were part of the like Rheingeist, I think, used to be a Moorline bottling factory.
Yeah, I believe
and
so.
and all of these places used to be involved in earlier phases of Cincinnati's brew history.
Yeah.
And so it'd be interesting to find out, if there's ghosts there. So maybe we could, maybe that's something we could visit, taverns and stuff,
Well,
and
there
see.
is a drinking tour.
There
Haunted
is.
Cincinnati
And I
drinking
know I've
tour.
mentioned this before. They do like the tours of the tunnels and everything, and they
I
also
would
have
love to
like
go on one of those.
a ghost.
Yes.
No, it's not a ghost hunt, but a ghost tour too, where they talk about all that kind of stuff.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you Google Arnold's Bar Cincinnati Haunted,
hmm
the tour pops up as like the fifth
Okay.
or sixth option.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, it's a good tour of the city, and you get to drink and hear about ghosts.
Well, we definitely should do a visit down there and maybe
Oh,
talk to the
definitely.
bartender and do like once a lot of things relax a little bit as far as COVID and stuff. It would be great to do some remotes.
Hold the like.
Yes. As long as you're over 21, you can
As
drink.
long as
there.
you're over 21.
I think you could probably actually be younger and eat in the
Yeah,
restaurant.
you can. Yeah,
Yeah.
which this
Not
is
after 9 o'clock at night. You should be in bed.
yeah,
If you're
sure,
not 21.
Jen.
If you're not 21. Sorry.
I remember growing up in Indiana and visiting family outside of Cleveland.
Mhm.
And Indiana has very strict, especially in the 90s, blue laws.
Mhm.
And Ohio did not, especially in that area. And I remember going to visit the family, and they went out to something like Arnold's, but around Cleveland. And I remember standing in the bar around 5 years old, going, Mommy, Daddy, we can't be in the bar. I can't be in the bar because
Aw.
I'm a young child and there's alcohol. And
Yeah.
my parents and aunt and uncles were like, chill, cat. We're okay. We're in Ohio. It's
We're
fine.
in Ohio. It's fine.
My mom used to tell me stories of having to go get her dad off the bar stool in St.
Oh.
Louis for dinner.
Oh,
Pretty much. I don't want to say every night, maybe every night. I mean, he was an Irishman, so
are you
know,
saying that people that are Irish drink a lot?
in my family, yes,
Okay.
they did. And especially my grandfather who fought in World War II, and he had a reason to drink, so I don't blame him.
Say the
But
PTSD.
my grandma would, Maureen, go get your father. and she said she hated it. Dad, come home.
Oh man.
I mean, when she was young, like 12.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You
You
could
can't
also
tell your
just
father what to do then.
no. Could have been just hanging out with the guys down there too.
Oh yeah, most
Kind of
definitely.
like how we do with drinking draws.
Well, it's kind of
Figure it out.
I mean, hanging out like that's kind of a British thing too. You were talking about Ireland. Going to the pub and hanging out with your friends is beyond drink. It's not necessarily just to get drunk. It's a social thing. It's
Yeah.
Yeah,
you have friends there and you talk to them. It's like
and
Cheers.
it's like
You
a
go there and
it's
talk to
the
people.
neighborhood bar. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Could be
mean, there's
Arnold's.
that seems like
Exactly.
it's something in the U.S. that's not so popular anymore, but in
No, it used
Britain
to
it's
be
still.
though.
Yeah,
It depends, I think, on where you are in the country and how accessible a bar is to your house without
yeah, the
driving.
suburbs aren't
That's
conducive
true.
to a pub.
Yeah.
Like
No,
since the
it would be
United
like
States,
cities.
since the United
Yeah.
States kind of has become more of a suburban place, perhaps going to your neighborhood pub's not such a much a thing, but I'm sure, like many downtown
Mhm.
areas, if you live there, there's bars you go to and everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's been places that I've gone to that, you go visit a lot and they know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
the
you go
same.
there to
Like
hang out. Like Brew
here.
House, we know the people that work there, and
Yeah.
we know some of the people that are there when we visit.
There are
It's.
there are weeks where I feel like we live there.
I know.
They're just like, really again? Like, yeah. So, oh man, now
Back
I
in the.
miss Brew House.
We just urban sketched the building next door, and it was really fun, and it was really
Mhm.
great to have lunch there again. It was
Yeah,
nice.
that's
Yeah.
really
Uh-huh.
really
Um,
fun.
but
So, hometown haunt. We got a
yes,
hometown haunt this week. We're living up to our name.
yes,
I
and
think it's the
this.
first time all year we're living up to our name.
And I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
person asked that their name be redacted.
Anonymous. For a number of years, our family owned a 110-acre farm in Bracken County, Kentucky. We used it mainly for our cottage industry and as a place to spend relaxing weekends. This was an old farmhouse built in the late 1800s, 2 barns and a number of other outbuildings such as a pig barn and a chicken coop on the property. The property was situated at the end of a long country road. Previously, the property was used for dairy farming and growing corn and tobacco. We had heard that someone long ago had lived on the land and was known as a medicine man. During the 1870s, the county was the leading wine producing county in the United States. Apparently, Germans brought grape cultivation and wine production to the country. It's not known if our farm property was used for growing grapes. The couple who sold the property to us used to allow turkey and deer hunting. To the dismay of those who were used to hunting on the land, we didn't allow anyone we didn't know to hunt there. It was amazing to see up to 200 turkeys gathered in flocks at certain times of the year. Anyway, we decided to sell the farm a few years ago. The family who purchased the farm intended to use the property for a weekend getaway and for hunting. Shortly after the property transfer, the new owner set up motion detection cameras in a number of spots on the land in order to determine where hunting would be best. Within a short time of setting up the cameras, they emailed us a photo of an unauthorized man on the land. They wanted to know who we thought it was, as the person was trespassing. My photo seemed unusual to us for several reasons. No one should have been trespassing on that part of the property, as it was quite a distance from the farmhouse, the main road, and other properties surrounding the farm. The man was wearing clothing that might have been appropriate for someone living in the 1800s. The man's pants looked threadbare and of the capri style, such as what German men may have been wearing at one time. The man was barefoot. Why would someone purposely walk in front of a camera if trespassing? Maybe they didn't know it was there. There's no way that anyone nowadays would choose to walk barefoot, yet alone in cutoffs or shorts or men's capris, if they even exist, through the property. Jeans and boots would be the best attire for that land. We could only see the backside of the person as the camera captured his image as he strode past the camera. So it would have been difficult to positively identify the person for that reason. Our only reply to the new owners was that we had no idea whose image that was. My husband and I were both spooked by the photo, me so much so that I deleted the photograph almost immediately. We both thought that the image captured by the motion detection camera was that of a ghost. I'd say so.
Well, that is delightfully spooky. And I looked up to see where Bracken County is, and it's along the Ohio River, just southeast of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Brooksville, Berlin, Powersville, Stonewall, Germantown. Those are all towns that are in Bracken County.
Mm-hmm.
So my first, it's spooky. It reminds me of a lot of ghost stories from Gettysburg and Antietam. Mm-hmm. Second thought that comes into my mind is, did they have any Amish or Mennonite neighbors?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's just because having grown up in that part of the country, yeah, they'll walk barefoot. They will, because it's land, and they'll also wear cutoffs or roll up their pants. So without seeing the photo, it's hard to tell.
I know.
That's a really good story. Thank you, Anonymous, for submitting it.
Yeah, and if you have the photo, feel free to send it to us.
Yeah.
But if it freaked you out so much and you deleted it, that's okay too.
Yes, that is fine. That's a perfectly valid response.
Yes.
Having looked at a bunch of ghost photos myself in my life, I'm just like, yeah, and then you just close it real quick.
That's interesting, because haven't they said, because, like we now have a doorbell with a camera, and they said with all of these things, like cameras in your house, like Simply Safe and stuff, that they're getting a lot of dust, obviously.
Yeah.
They said, please don't contact us about dust and cats. But apparently you're getting a lot of images of stuff. You'll occasionally see videos on YouTube where there's doors opening that shouldn't be opening, and that sort of thing. So you're kind of getting a type of surveillance that's never been seen before.
Here's a thought. Don't put cameras in your house. I don't want cameras filming me in my everyday sanctum of my house. That doesn't need to be going to some person that can see it for 30 days before it deletes. No, thank you. Outside
how
is
else
fine.
am I supposed to know that Mickey's the one triggering the alarm at 2:30 in the morning? Because she wants to go sleep on the couch.
Well, when I had my ADT set up, they wouldn't do the, like, do you have cats? And I said yes, and they wouldn't do the inside motion. I probably shouldn't say
you
this
have to have
publicly, because the cats would constantly set it off.
Yeah,
and I do
if
too.
You have cats. We don't. I mean, we have cats, and once when Cynthia was here, she set it to where it has the motion detector, and it went off.
Yeah.
And of course, you get this thing. It's like somebody in there, and it was because the cats, set those things off. They're very good at. I mean, that's the thing that I always wonder if maybe that's why you don't notice. If you've had cats, you probably don't notice ghosts as much, because you're used to things crashing and being in high spots and knocking
so
things
even if you
down,
did, you'd be like, oh, that's just the cats.
What I'm thinking would be a very spooky thing to catch outside your not your window, but through surveillance, as you were mentioning, is the Fresno Nightcrawler. Have you ever seen it?
No.
No.
Oh,
Tell
please
us.
Google it. I want to see what your reactions would be.
You want us to Google now?
Sure, if you
Okay,
can.
So what do we type?
Fresno Nightcrawler?
Fresno Nightcrawler, also known as the Fresno Alien.
Is it it's a GIF, however you say it?
Oh, that's hilarious, actually.
It's a video. And there's some stills of it.
It's a cryptid.
It is a cryptid. If you read Sarah Anderson's Cryptid Club, it's a member of it.
Oh, really?
Oh, is that what her little white ghost thing is with the heels?
Yes, that's the Fresno Nightcrawler.
That would be cool to catch on your camera. I hope
No,
I
that would
catch
freak
one
me
of
the absolute F out.
Well,
And we're sure it's not people being all weird.
Everything's people being weird.
Everyone's people weird. But like when Anonymous mentioned that they immediately deleted the photo,
Yeah.
the first time I ever saw the video of the Fresno Nightcrawler, it freaked me so much I closed the window.
That is terrifying.
I
Which
could
video-
not
which
be
video is
around
it?
my computer for a good hour after that.
Is it are the Fresno, is it which is this iHeart.com a good thing to look at for the Fresno Nightcrawlers?
I was just looking at the cryptids fandom, but
Most convincing footage. Oops.
oops.
I hope you didn't hear the music. Did you hear the music?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't hear anything.
But I am seeing it.
It could be aliens.
Is it these people walking down the hill?
Yeah.
There is a version of it walking down the hill. There's I can send you the YouTube link. I know this is compelling video or audio for all of our listeners.
Yeah.
Here, I can send you the original video.
It's kind of like somebody walking really funny. Like it looks like they're
Yeah.
walking on stilts, actually.
Yeah, and have like high pants on, but it's all white.
Yeah.
They're
But
white
I
pants.
still freaked me. Alien stuff, ghost stuff I'm fine with. Alien stuff, I'm out of there.
Same.
Yeah, can't do it.
Same.
Ever
Did you
since
see-
Unsolved Mysteries years.
Yep.
Mm-mm.
It's the and they're
Yeah.
like, here's a mugshot of what
Oh,
this
dear.
person, this alien looks like with big old eyes. Don't go walking in the field at night. They'll take you.
Yeah.
Did you
it's just-
see Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind?
Nope. Absolutely not.
Yeah, I made the mistake of seeing that, and I went home and slept with all my lights on, like it mattered. But
Okay, now I've got it
terrified
on. It
me.
is very terrible video, isn't it?
It is very terrible video.
I'm guessing it took place in Fresno, California.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
And it
will-
hasn't been debunked as any.
There's a lot of people who think it's just a person walking around. When was it seen?
Huh.
2010 was the first sighting. 2017 was the last sighting.
Oh, I wish it had been in Ohio so we could do a story on it.
An alien. So these are the explanations according to the fans of the Nightcrawler. An alien or extraterrestrial being, a new species, possibly a primate with short arms. You mean my son? A misidentified deer standing upright.
All right.
I'm sorry, no. Not with legs like that. Anyway, pants or a puppet on a wire. I like that idea. That seems plausible.
It does kind of feel like it moves like a marionette in the
Yeah.
first video I looked at where it's going down the hill. It looked kind of puppetish.
It
Muppetish.
looks, yeah. Jim Henson would be proud. A bird walking like a crane, and a person wearing big pants and walking on stilts.
You know what it kind of looks like? What is that that Boston Robotics company?
Oh,
Like
yes.
they could make something like that and put a sheet over it and it would look like that.
Yeah.
You know, another thing to worry about, like the big violent robot uprising when you see those. What is it called? Boston Dynamics or something
Yeah,
like
Boston
that.
Dynamics.
And their videos of the dancing
little robot
robots that you
dogs,
could
yeah.
easily imagine them rending people limb from limb.
Yeah. What?
Well, have you seen like the big one? Like they have the dog one, but they also have humanoid ones.
Oh, I haven't seen
And
the
they're pretty
humanoid ones.
big. I'll send you a video. We'll put some videos in the show notes.
I can't watch that anymore. It's creepy.
And the
I'm so sorry,
Ah!
Jen.
Nightcrawler.
Yeah, the Nightcrawler.
You guys got men you can cuddle up with at night. I don't. And my cat.
I got
won't
3
protect me.
dogs. One of them's deaf. Probably would pee on the Nightcrawler.
Well, they're not doing anything ominous. They're just walking.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're puppets.
Yeah.
Puppetish to me.
They look very puppet. They remind me of some of the puppets that would have been on Jim Henson's
Yeah.
The Muppet Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, or even Sesame Street. Like, I swear they had like weird little slinky looking ones.
Yeah.
So it just looks like somebody
Did
made
we
one.
talk about the fairies back in the day? I think it was in Ireland. 2 girls kept claiming they were getting pictures of,
Yeah,
or
we
they were
talked
seeing
about it.
fairies.
Especially when we talked about Arthur Conan Doyle last time with Laura Pruden.
That kind of reminds me of, like, it could be something like that. You know, because if you see the photos, they look like they're real, but you just can't see the string that's holding them.
Goodness, that robot is terrifying.
Oh, I
But they look cute dancing, but they would look cute dancing right till they rendered your flesh.
They look like something like early Gundam.
I know. They are pretty creepy looking, and the video is pretty wild. You'll have to watch the whole thing. It's pretty
Is it
good.
a
But they're
police robot.
I don't know if they do anything yet. Like, I think you can actually buy the dog robot that they were talking about, but
Why
the
would you
humanoid
want this near you?
I don't know.
Companionship in case you see his Nightwalker.
This just proves Skynet is coming.
It might be already here. I don't know. I mean, they do move quite well, actually.
It's pretty close to a Terminator.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, stop doing things just because we can. And you're going to bring the world to an end.
Large robot armies.
Yeah.
Well, if they all just dance, that's okay.
Oh, what is this scrub brush looking ostrich thing?
I don't know.
I'm 1 minute 36 seconds in, and like this gigantic ostrich looking robot comes in from stage left, and
oh yeah. I mean they look cute dancing, but you could picture them really killing people, couldn't you?
Yeah, the dog is like from that episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah. Well, it might have been based on it even.
I think Black Mirror is after Boston Dynamics did the things.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
what's the purpose of that?
Now everyone knows how to freak me out. It isn't ghosts, it isn't demons, it's robots and aliens.
Killer robots.
Yeah.
Oh, look, now they're doing yoga poses.
But I mean, that's the difference between like seeing like a ghostly figure or whatever and seeing something that like, could kill you.
Right.
It's not the undead that scare me, it's the robots.
I know. The killer robots.
Yeah, the
I
killer
mean, at least you could
robots.
run from a zombie if you had to. Although I am so out of shape, I would just sit down and let them eat me because I cannot run to save my life.
That's not going to be pleasant.
Well, on that note.
Goodness. So on that note, thank you. You can follow. Thank you everyone for listening to us talk about Arnold's Bar and Grill and then devolve into a story about killer robots and
Zombies.
Fresno night crawlers and puppets. So you can follow us at Sin Cabinet Curio on Twitter, at Cincy Cabinet of Curiosities on Instagram, and please send us your hometown haunt at hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com. I swear we will not always go about night crawlers after you share your story. You can also join the chat at Hometown Haunts on our Facebook group. So I'm Kat Cloco with Christina Wald and Jen Kohler, and for all of us, to you, good night and stay spooky.
Bye.
Bye.